Welcome back, everybody. In this video, we are going to be going through our trash pile and pulling out a piece of steel to make our war Tomahawk. After going through our little stack here, I pulled out this piece of leaf spring. Now this little piece was used to make the Roman gladius sword that you guys saw in our 6-part video series. Now I wrote up a few plans on what I should do with this leaf spring. My first idea was to do something simple and kind of old-fashioned. Sort of like this drawing here with a standard, kind of like Boy Scouts hatchet with these finger grooves on it. I looked at that for a while and thought, well, let's try something a little bit more modern. So I drew up a second sketch of this Type 2 modern style with a kind of chisel cut face and really squared up bevels. Out of the two, I like the Type 2 modern better. So we're going to go with this one, and we're just going to take the old plan and throw it away. First things first is we're going to have to draw up a plan on our piece of steel. Now I'm just going to cut out a piece and then we'll bend the head over. We're going to save that part that I'm drawing on and then cut out the rest of it and just totally discard it. Yeah, that's gone. And that big square up there is going to end up being the actual Tomahawk head. So let's hook it down and chop it up. Now my inspiration for this video is, he goes on Instagram under @FreshCoastKnife. Now Fresh Coast Knife is a knife maker and he's also a tomahawk smith or a hatchet smith. I saw him make a sweet fat boy hatchet that I like to call it. And that's where I really took some inspiration from. So you guys go check him out. Take a look at that awesome hatchet he made. Give him some likes, give him a follow. So I'm hammering this, but I'm having trouble really turning it. So I'm going to show you a tactic that I learned from Green Beetle. This is called the spine slap, and what you do is you heat it up and you slap the spine to make it even and straight. I've used this a few times when working with thinner objects or objects that just refuse to move under the hammer. If you slap it down, you can usually get a nice square and even handle, or tang in this case. But as I'm working this, I'm noticing an issue. You guys can probably see it too. Where the handle meets the head, they're starting to like crack to appear. I'll show you guys in just a second. It's a cold shut that I'm making. We're going to have to cut it out though. Because if we don't, it's going to cause a lot of issues. There's that cold shut I'm talking about right there. If we don't cut that out, like I said, it's just going to cause issues. Like weakening the actual blade itself. So we're just going to have to cut that part out with the angle grinder. We're also going to cut a face into it too. We could hot cut it, but I don't feel like doing it. It's a little bit quicker anyway, just using the angle grinder. Just kind of sketching out a rough plan of how I want this thing to look. But before we get too far, I want to make sure we can forge out this tang. Now this tang is going to have multiple finger grooves, or that was the original idea. After working at it a while and feeling the grip, it just wasn't right. So I ended up actually just making a sweeping tang with only one finger groove for the index finger. But I'm still going to forge this out and then peen it, extend it, and get it to the appropriate shape. I'm just going to let it anneal real quick. Alright, so we need to drop a plan real quick. So let's get ourselves a decent plan. There we go. We got ourselves a plan now. So our idea is to cut this out and we'll trim it. And then we're going to rough grind it before we do heat treating. It's looking pretty good right at the moment. I'm enjoying this. Now we got it all cleaned up, we're going to take it and we are going to run it to the forge twice to do kind of another anneal. We don't want this thing warping in the quench. If I don't blow myself up first. We're going to let this thing sit, and I'm going to pull it out and set it into a set of vice grips that I have extended from the ceiling. Gonna let this cool up here, because if you lay it on the anvil, it can suck out the heat and cause warps in the quench. Now the quench was interesting. I stuck it inside my quench tank thinking this was going to be wide enough, because this is pretty wide. But when I stuck it in there, I actually got it stuck. And I tried wiggling it around, and I just couldn't get it to break free. It took me a while. I was sure it was going to warp, but actually it didn't warp, even though I was like yanking on it trying to get it out. Got my file testers here. I started with 60 HRC just to see if I got it that high, and it skates it extremely well. I then tried a 65 HRC file, and it is skating this pretty well. There's a few places that dig in, but it still is working extremely well, in my opinion. I remember heat treating the sword, so it was a lot easier just having that in the past to learn how to heat treat this properly. So it saved me a lot of time for sure. Now tempering it, I am just going to fire up the forge and stick it in there and do sort of like a blowtorch temper, because I don't have an oven and my blowtorch is out of propane. So I stuck it in there with a wet rag wrapped around the cutting edge face and just try my best to temper back that. 60 HRC is digging in a little bit. 65 is definitely eating right into it. That's good. Face is still nice and strong. We are now going to throw this on my 1x30 grinder. We're going to get this all cleaned up and ready for a spray paint finish. Now, I wouldn't recommend using a spray paint finish on any blades, but I wanted something that's going to withstand some abuse. And especially around where I live, it's really damp and things rust very easily. So we're going to do a spray paint finish, and we're going to do a paracord handle. We're going to give it 3 coats of this nice shiny black paint to add to that tactical look. This thing is looking sweet. I really like how this Tomahawk turned out. The really tactical black paint and the paracord handle really make it look just that little bit extra. I really do like this. Everything turned out nice and straight. In just a moment, we're going to do some choppy choppy, as Green Beetle would say. And then I'll see what you guys think. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you guys really like it. Cuts cheese really well. What about orange juice? You know, orange juice kind of goes with cheese, kind of. Put a nice gash in it. I'm gonna take out here and cut this dead limb real quick. It cuts it, you know, it's not the greatest cut. I only sharpened it to a like 200 grit sharpening. It could definitely be sharper, but it cuts right through this pretty well. And for a hatchet or a tomahawk, I think it's pretty good. It'll be great for a backpack, especially my little backpack. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you all have a great one.